This is episode 192. I don't think it's a bad pedal, but it sounds bad.
Tune in now to see if anything breaks. I don't know.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's the tone control. Yay. Oh my God.
What a day.
I gotta tell you.
What a friggin' day. It's 8:39 p.m.
Yep.
We're getting started.
This is just fizzy water. I don't have any beer tonight.
I'm on my second drink tonight, guys.
Oh, good.
Not since starting this whole show, but like I had one with dinner and I was like, you know what? I've entirely forgot we were recording a day early despite talking about it a bunch. We're sitting on the couch. I'm like looking at I'm going through emails. I messaged Justin yesterday, like, we're all good, right? Like, I'm not going to be the one. And sure enough. So Beth was like, oh, what time is your podcast? Right now. Oh my God. Run upstairs. Like panic setup, plugging shit in. And then Justin's like having all these issues with this other thing. And we're just like chilling for 40 minutes.
Everything fucking breaks again. But well, it's not our usual day, so I don't know what the hell I expected, but I set up, maybe this is my mistake. I set up everything like before I went in to like do the whole thing with the kiddo, do dinner, do bath and all that shit. Yeah. I set this all up. Like I put it together, I put the screen there, I like turned on the OBS and I got everything running. Discord's connected to the and I previewed all my tabs. I got my camera angle just right. And then I come out here to sit down, right, and wake the computer up. And it's like everything just starts falling on its face. Everything's like maxing out and the whole computer doesn't, and I'm trying different options and I can sort of fix it sort of sometimes. And I don't know what the fuck am I doing? This is so much harder than I think it's supposed to be. And I feel like are you all right?
Yeah, I'm hearing like some noise. It sounds like I think it's just your mic opening. That's all. Okay, never mind.
Oh,
it sounded like guitar amp hiss for a second. I was like, what?
Well, so frankly, my mic. Yeah, it's just the way I got Discord set.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's gating out. It's I don't know. I don't have a solution. I want to be able to do this way. You know what I mean? I want to be able to do the show this way from this room.
And like by all accounts, it should kind of technically work. And the fact that it's occasionally just like, how about we just run it 10,000%? And you're like, well, no, that's not what I want. Yeah.
Well, it's so funny because like in games, I took the streaming, like I separated it. I took the streaming off of streaming duty off of the game computer and separated them. And it's much less of a hassle in many ways. And here I'm not doing that, right? Here I am essentially, I'm feeding Discord and I'm also feeding this back into OBS and I'm cycling and I'm creating this video that is like your Discord plus my Discord and then feeding that to Discord. So there's this like, I think that's, and I have too many screens and this poor computer.
You have like a Mobius strip of screens and feeds to Discord, to and from Discord.
Yeah, exactly. It's just insane. And I don't know. I don't know if there's a solution to that. I don't know how to. I'm trying to imagine how I can.
So I guess the question is, you do this show in your recording studio.
Yeah.
Why? Like, could it not be done in the other space with that setup? I mean, we can talk about this later, but like, would that solve a lot of things? Or
I couldn't like my music gear is here though. So like when I plug in a guitar, I don't know. This is the setting for music. You know, this I've got my amps are here. This is my music studio.
I mean, right, obviously, it's the clear choice, but
Yeah.
if
It's
it makes
like, I wonder
podcasting
if-
a huge pain in the ass, then like,
I wonder how if I could add if I could pass something to a second computer and make the second computer do the encoding for something. I just don't know. Anyway, whatever. This is stupid. All of this, frankly, all of this was this great idea to make our content level up. And it was also easier for me technically because we're doing the whole show live. And so there's less editing for me on the back end. It was all like win, win, win. And like the first time or two we did it, it seemed like it went smoother. And I just don't know how can I get back to that? I don't know what I did
it also
differently.
like every time there's kind of a weird, a different issue. Like no pattern has emerged. It's not like every time this happens.
I think every time it's every 2 weeks, one or the other piece of the 6 softwares that I'm using updates.
Yeah.
And
right.
and they're always like, oh man, we found a great new way to do this. We're going to save you some CPU overhead. And I'm like, that sounds fantastic. Can't wait to record the tone control. And then I turn it on and it's like, oh, but actually we're saving that on this other way that actually we're going to totally fuck over this other software. So they're going to use twice as much GPU now. And whoo.
Yeah. Makes it all worse actually, but not on our end. So don't worry about it.
Well, I don't know. Everything seems to be going. Apparently, I'm just like operating right under the maximum possible threshold of my ability to do it with this equipment. So that's fine. That means a show's going to happen.
So fine, we're going for it.
We're going.
That's how
for
the tone control runs, folks. At absolute maximum threshold.
Maximum fucking efficiency. God. Okay. I'll tell you what. Let me do one of these, and then we're going to tell a story.
Thanks to Pedal Genie for sponsoring the tone control. Visit pedalgenie.com and start your wish list today.
Okay, I wanted to say first of all, you guys did a fantastic job last episode. Great show.
Oh, applauding me. Thank you.
Well done.
Yes, Eric was on, and we talked about gigs, which we sort of used to talk about a long, long time ago. But in the before time, but also not even just before the pandemic, but like early tone control days, we would occasionally talk about playing shows.
Yeah.
And that sort of just tapered off as both of us tapered off of gigging. Once I joined another band, it came back a little bit, but Eric's a very different type of guitarist, and it's like professional guitarism. You know, he does it for work, and that is like such a different way to think of all of this. So yeah, if you haven't heard it, go back to 191 and check that out, because there's a really good conversation about gigs and just the different types of musicians and being a professional versus a hobbyist and what that means for you in the instrument. So really cool chat.
Yeah. Well, it was awesome that happened, because I couldn't be, realistically I probably could have been there, but it was like not on my mind.
No. It would not have been a good day for that. And like if you showed up, I would have kicked you out.
No. So as you said, like you had the news because it had happened earlier that day. Dad had a surgery. Everything went swimmingly. And at that time, and then we just went back home. We couldn't be with him obviously because of the COVID restrictions.
Of course.
We could only be with him for a short time after he was through it that first day. And then we just kind of were all together because Tyler was there, and we played games and stayed up and talked about everything. And
I'm sure there's just a mental exhaustion and like a relief, so to speak, and like you're over the major part of it, and it's like at least that one major detail.
Right. I mean, they took him in early in the morning, and then I made sure that we were there with Mom, and then we just. At first, it seemed like we weren't going to all get to be together because he could only have 2 guests per day, and they couldn't be exchanged.
Oh.
So basically you had to sign up who was going to be. So anyway, but we found that actually, like, anybody can be in the main areas of the hospital, the cafeteria. So we actually just hung around in the cafeteria all day so we could be together. And then when we got called up and then, eventually we got these updates, everything's going well. Talk to you later, this sort of stuff. And then it was the doctor wanted to see us. And what's funny is, like, I would think if your major possibly life-threatening surgery went well when you called and said, okay, call the family up. I'm closing up and I'm going to meet them. Everything went great. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, like, wouldn't you tell them that just like,
is that
like,
too many words? Is that too many words for the, you know what I mean? But they just said the doctor wants to talk to you. And so we go upstairs, and we're not saying anything to each other. I'm going,
that's not cool. You can't be doing
riding
that.
the elevator up with mom, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, cheery face and all that. Like, let's. And I was like, for one thing, they estimate because they're not gonna, this is going to take this many minutes. No, they estimate, and we kind of felt like it was a little fast, and I was like, okay. But we go in, and then the doctor comes out, and he's all like, hey, how are you? What?
Who cares?
He did. He had this moment where he looked at us and he was like, "Hi, how are you guys?" And like, huh? But then he got right down to business. He's like, everything's great. They're closing up right now, and he told us all the business, and then it was fine, right? But then at that point, it was actually like right before he came in the door. I was sitting there and I noted we went into this room. We go in one door, the doctor's going to come in the other door. It's like that kind of a space, you know? And I realized that, like, I was trying to be cool, and I realized that my leg was shaking a little bit. And I was like, oh. And then I turned around and was like, well, if my leg's shaking, I'm sure she doesn't feel good. So I just started talking to mom about, I can't even remember what I said, talking to her about something random. And then the doctor interrupted us like right away. Anyway, so it's fine. He got to go home several days ago now.
Gosh, I don't even remember. Yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind. At least, I mean, if I don't remember, then I can't count on you to know what day it was.
It was a rough stay in the hospital for him because it's just so uncomfortable to be there, and like, nothing was wrong with anything that had happened. I mean, you had a big part of your body removed. But anyway, nothing, I mean, his vitals were all good and everything. It was just really uncomfortable. Eventually, when he's allowed to go home, then everything was just so much nicer and better. And he started just improving right away. So there was like a few days where, you know my dad really well. There's a few days where I like got to see him sometimes for a long section of the day. And like mom got to see him like a lot too, obviously. And the thing that's kind of stuck out to me besides just like, obviously it's a very different situation. The thing that I thought was of note to anyone who know him is you just didn't see him smile.
Oh, okay.
For several days. Because he's just so uncomfortable. And I mean weak, but really that wasn't even the worst thing, I think, for him. So he got home and then right away all that starts to change.
Weakness is so expected. So like that's fine.
Well, yeah. Right.
Right. So like the rest of it is though, like spirits are a whole thing about it. Like if you can be weak, but still be like feeling good, you know, and for those things to not be meeting in the middle, that's hard. I was just going to say that like being sick of any kind, even if you have a head cold or something like the sniffles, not being home is the worst part of that. Right. So like being sick at home is a million times better than being sick at work or at a hospital or whatever. It's just like the mental load. I think that being home makes the biggest difference for anything. So I think it totally tracks that he comes home and he's like, oh, finally. Like there's a relief in that sense too, that he's like, now I can begin like just chilling the hell out. Because there's like a certain anxiety that everyone's going to feel, including the patient at a hospital.
It's the interruptions. They're always poking him. And
you're kind of always waiting for more information.
Yeah. Because of the nature of things, they were always having to take his blood sugar and stuff like that to make sure. But I mean, everything was fine the whole time.
Good.
Good. So anyway, he's great and better every day. And,
awesome.
Yeah.
So I've told a few people like, oh, friend's dad had this surgery, and the bombshell fact is that the liver is going to grow back in 6 to 8 weeks. And I tell that to everybody, and they're like, "You mean months, right?"
Nope.
No,
well,
I do
that's
not
what
mean
they
months.
said. I don't know.
Right. So
he's a first timer, but
This is my first rodeo.
This is my first liver grow back.
She could. Have you seen that T-shirt that says, "Actually, this is my first rodeo"? That would be so great for him to have right now.
Outstanding.
Good. Well, that's all great. I'm so glad to hear. Yeah, the scary part seems to be over, I guess, right? Like, that's good. Like,
yeah, I think so. I think he's had his first kind of like checkup, and everything's well. No, I guess they had a check in, and it was a lot of just confirming that things are what they thought they were, because they biopsy everything, of course.
Okay,
things are what they thought they were, and so that means prognosis is what they thought it would be, essentially. And considering the fact that he's just like very strong heart and everything like that, so he was just an absolutely perfect candidate for having a ridiculous
they're
thing
working
done
on him
to
like,
your
this
body.
guy's great.
Well, no, they said like, okay,
Yeah.
so it's a teaching hospital. So
cool. Okay.
there's always like tails everywhere. And I think that's really good for a lot of reasons, but including, for one thing, like they're all like commenting on each other, and they're all conferring all the time. And we heard just over and over again from tons of people, for one thing, how great Dad's heart is. It's just a masterpiece, you guys. It's like amazing. And everyone's just so
The perfect human specimen.
That heart. Oh my God. So
This can't be right.
And the surgeon is a virtuoso. Like, this guy, this is the liver guy. Like, if you need something done to your liver, you talk to this guy. And the lady said, one of the residents or someone who was in there told them that it was just amazing to watch, not a wasted movement. They said. Like, it's just,
you love to hear that. That's like the fluidity of it all. Like,
just like, we just did the
precision
thing. And it's like, well, he did come out sooner than expected. So
because it was perfect, right? It was the perfect scenario.
Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
awesome.
All right. Good job.
Good.
All right. First on the actual news sheet, shall we take a guess at this? This shouldn't be hard.
The greatest.
You're not going to be in time with that when it.
I know. I don't care. That's going to make it so much better.
The pedal that nobody thought could and did.
The pedal that is on its way to me right now. It shipped yesterday. The 1981 DRV.
That's the one.
That's a fucking banger. It's on its way. It'll be here Friday, which is super cool, but also kind of lame because I'm going to be out of town this weekend. So I need someone to come pick it up. But that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what a demo. Sometimes
Helix,
I just listen to that demo because it's great.
Relive it now on YouTube. Link in the show notes, probably. I don't know. We could do that.
Sure. Well, if you're watching this on the channel, then it's just here.
It's just right there on the other playlist.
Yeah.
Derek's Helix band rig with in-ear monitors.
Yeah, so I don't have any of this with me tonight here. It's all in the basement. But, okay. There's a fella named Richie Castellano who has a YouTube channel. He's also currently the guitarist for Blue Oyster Cult. He is a Helix aficionado, right? He's the Helix guy. He's got tons of great YouTube content for Helix. And he's got this video where he runs down how he's using Helix to run an IEM rig, in-ear monitor rig, while sending stuff to front of house, while integrating backing tracks, all of this craziness, and while using a vocal mic and getting that through the monitors and to front of house and all this stuff.
All right.
So because Helix can do vocal processing as well. I'm not using it for that. So I head to the website. He's got all of his stuff that he works on the Helix custom tone site, which is a place to share presets. and I'm downloading his preset and I'm looking at all like it's like signal path algebra, right? Figuring out how it's all working. And he goes through it all in the video and it's fascinating. He's got stuff like the expression pedal is mapped to a blend of the guitar versus the vocal mic, for example.
Okay.
So toe down is all
so gets his
guitar.
balance.
Yeah, so he can, if he needs more guitar, he can just like tip the expression pedal a little. Really cool stuff. Really, really cool. So what I did was I kind of adapted that setup to my band's setup, and we play to a click live, and we have backing tracks.
Yep.
And then we've got a thing that can receive, like I can just take a monitor feed off the board and try to integrate all of that too. So instead of buying a little mixer to run everything in and out of, I can manage all of this with Helix. So the sends and returns on the Helix are being used as the ins and outs as the outputs rather than the 1/4 inch out or the XLR out. So in my signal path, I now have a block for send 1 is like my guitar out. And that's
Do you mean that's the send and returns for your in-ears?
No. So what's happening? So guitar goes into Helix. Then I've got my whole signal path running like the normal setup. But at the end, instead of going out the main 1/4 inch out or going out through XLR or some other output, it's going out through send 1. And that's going to front of house. That's going straight to the board, just full bore, no volume control or anything. So the guy gets the full signal and can manage it as needed. Then in returns, whatever returns I want, really 1 and 2, let's say, I'm getting a click track and backing tracks. Okay, and then off of the board, I'm getting a monitor feed that would usually go into a floor wedge into another return. And then I've got a separate path in the Helix software on the board itself that is
you're mixing those returns back.
Just returns, and I can mix them. I can add whatever I want to them in the signal path. I can compress, I can limit, I can EQ, and all of that's going in the headphone out to my in-ears, which I just have some universal fit in-ears that I got.
Right. Okay,
they're not custom molded or anything crazy.
I think I get it. The reason that the send is feeding front of house instead of your main out is because then your main out would hear all that click and stuff.
It would have click track in it. Correct.
you have to take the tap that's going to front of house from before that.
So this is the thing that's crazy. This is one of those things about products like Helix where they've given you the tools and you have to think of creative ways to use them. I never really thought of sends and returns as more than loops previously, as like effects loop 1 or effects loop 2. But you can split the signal out with a send and not expect it to return. So what do you do with that? And then you can just receive a bunch of signals as well with all 4 returns. So there's 4 loops on this thing, 4 sends, 4 returns. And I've got 6 cables coming in and out of this thing, but I've got it all in some in-ears. I'm going for the band members that don't have monitor rigs, I'm going through the PA. But I've got my click tracks, vocals, piano, drums are loud enough in the room, and my guitar coming in through in-ears, and it's insane. It's
That's fabulous.
It's crazy to think that the fact that it works is mind-blowing. And Matt was like, work? Because Matt's got this rig that with a little mixer kind of doing the same thing. And he's like, yeah, plug this in here, plug that in there. Program it however you need to, but this is your click, this is your track, this is your feed. Give me your guitar line, all that stuff. And he just sort of did it and it worked. And I was like, holy shit. Like I knew it would happen, but it was actually experiencing it is insane. So it's kind of a game changer because this is the thing we've sort of talked about the whole time. Like, oh, you could go front of house or you could just go all digital. And I was like really cautious about a lot of that.
Yeah.
Not like afraid,
which makes sense because it's like a global change in the way you think about everything.
Yeah. So for the longest time, I had been using Helix into an FR cab, just like a guitar amp, and it was just big and loud in the room, and that was great.
But it's still basically
a
the guitar amp and a floorboard.
Right. So now, and then at some point, I had given Matt a send out of my guitar so he could get a direct line into his monitors.
Yeah.
So that was like, ooh, okay, we're using more than one output here. That's cool.
But you still have the safety of it feels like I'm playing a guitar rig.
Yeah. So this is all still really different. Now the killer trick of this all is even through the PA, Helix sounds like a guitar amp. So it still sounds awesome, so no matter where you're sending it. So it's still a little confusing to me about like how and why it works. Like every time I plug it in, I'm like having to go through like all the steps. Like, yes, this goes here. I'm plugging this in here, right? Right.
It's like you need to visual. You need to have like all the in wires are blue and all the out wires are red, so you can see it.
So on the back of Helix, all those in and out 1/4-inch jacks have plastic nuts on them, like a plastic jack with a plastic nut.
Okay.
And somebody makes what's called a connection tag kit. And it's like you can tag all of those, color code every single nut and washer on the back of the Helix. And I might do that because every time I'm like, oh, wait, what is it? Which one is it? And then I might have to like reconfigure it in my signal path as well. But then we've got like, 12 songs that I need to do that for because the presets are song based. So it's like, it's a little confusing. And every time I'm like, send, no, return, no, 3, no, 4.
Well, so the way these, I mean, 3, 4, 1, 2, like that stuff all kind of aside, calling things like sends and returns actually kind of makes sense, right? So that's laid out just the way it's actually happening. I'm sending this to someone else. The returns are what's coming to me, So at least that far, you know which direction.
Right. It's just thinking like I'm splitting my signal in like a few different ways and receiving signals, but they're all coming into my ears. Right. And that routing is like such a weird thing to think about. So now playing, I've played to a click in the studio a million times and I'm very comfortable with that. Playing to a click live with 3 other people also playing to that click, or at least 2 other people playing to that click, is weird. And then you're kind of thinking like, who's pushing, right? who's dragging behind? And I'm focusing then like, am I hearing my guitar enough? Am I hearing Matt's guitar enough? Wait, I forgot. Like it's I'm
focus on head mixes.
It's making me lose focus on playing. So I'm like forgetting parts and like not switching effects on when I should be and stuff like that. Little stuff because I'm just like so focused on what I'm hearing, and that'll go away with time. It's just sort of getting used to that. But it's crazy how this works. It is absolutely crazy. So now we've got this show in August, Market Days in Concord, New Hampshire. If you're in the area, please come. We're playing Saturday in like 5, maybe. So this is like a real deal thing, and I can really rely on the sound guy. This is the perfect case to really test this live, for real.
Yeah.
So Matt tells me most setups like this are not going to receive a 1/4-inch for that, so you should get a DI box. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean,
what do you mean? You mean
like for my guitar out. Because my guitar out's going 1/4-inch out.
Oh, you want to feed them XLR.
Yeah, I want to feed them XLR. So he's like, you probably want to grab a DI box just so it's easy for them. And you can like just get a little patch cable and run it right out of your Helix. No big deal. So now I looked very briefly on Sweetwater for DI boxes, and there's a wild range of stuff from $20 to $200. And I don't know.
And more than that.
And more than that, yes. And I don't know what to look for. I don't know what makes a good DI box. I know effectively what a DI box does. So I know Radial is kind of the brand. I see a lot.
Radial is a brand. In DIs, a really big name is going to be Countryman. I believe, if it's not exclusively active DIs, then their focus is certainly that.
Okay.
Okay. So within a certain amount of reason, I personally don't give a shit about DIs.
Okay.
I think you're really talking about some really subtle differences. Yep. And, but I don't think that's good advice. Like you said, like you can get some that are $20. I don't think you should get a $20 one. I think probably spending like 100-ish should be like that. That should be probably like the minimum where you consider that it's like a good DI.
That's the one that came up first. Is the Radial Pro DI1.
Yeah.
One channel passive instrument direct box.
Right.
Actually, here, you know what? I'll show.
And
I'll
you
throw
know
a
what
link.
that's going to be, because like I've got a thing right here that is essentially that. It's just a box with a transformer in it, and the wires are attached to the plugs. And there'll be a ground lift.
Yes. You want to? I just posted a link.
Yeah.
You want to pull that up?
Sure.
So it looks like there's a ground lift and a 15 dB pad, and then a through jack. And so now the only thing I'm curious about, I guess I can't really do this with the IEM rig now that I think of how it's set up, but would be a stereo option if I ever wanted to go stereo. But I don't think I can do that with the Helix in its current setup, and that's okay, I think. But for $100, like, that's not crazy.
No, and so what it's really coming down for passive DIs is like they could have extra features like a pad, -15 pad, which is just like going to be a resistor on there. And then the ground lift, anything's going to have a ground lift. It might not have a pad. Sometimes they have variable pads, which is kind of a nice thing. But really, the only thing that's in here that you're paying for is the transformer, because it's using the induction inside the transformer to balance your signal. So it's about the quality of the transformer. I think Radial is it's a custom transformer, so I think Radial is making their own. So you can't exactly look up like what they use.
I've seen Radial for years when looking at DI boxes. I've never had reason to buy one, but they always seem like the brand that comes up whenever I see people talking about DIs. They are the brand that is used for reference.
Yeah.
So
no, I think this is a really good one. And then I think it becomes complicated when you look at active.
Yeah.
Like I have this box sitting next to me that I made because I got my hands on a pair of Cinemag transformer. It's like a kind of famous little transformer that's perfect size for a DI, and I just got a pair of them and put them in a box. So I had a stereo DI that was matched. Cool. But that's all it is. Like I think the pair of transformers, it was like a group buy. I think I paid probably near $100 just for the two transformers. And I built my own box for it because the group buy was actually for kits for singles. And I was like, I'm just going to build them into the same box. So I don't need your box kit. Just give me the transformers. But yeah, so, and then when you go look at actives, they'll be phantom powered sometimes, or they could have batteries, or they could even have their own power source. So I've seen some where.
Yeah, so I'm interested in the passive, I think mostly because the Helix is a one power cable solution, right? So all I need to bring is some instrument cables and a power cable, and I can play a show. With this being passive, that's appealing.
That is, and it's not necessarily a problem. I think the actives again will have kind of a. It is about it sounding subtly different. Probably being able to interpret a little bit more sparkly stuff, like sparkly transients. Whereas the transformer, I mean, people love the sound of transformers. This is a sort of like, it's like the old console things. It's the transformers were rounding off all the transients and saturating the transients and stuff. So that's what people liked about it. And then, but the other way around it is like something, they could be phantom powered, so you still wouldn't need a power source. It would be that whatever you're plugging it into would need to click on phantom power in order for it to work. Or they could have a battery. And then I've seen, Rich at Monastery has a one by Avalon that's like a 2U half rack space.
Oh, cool.
Box with tubes in it and stuff. At least I think it has tubes in it. I don't know. They're not tubes for vanity. If they're in there, they're for real. You can't see them. But it's got all kinds of tone adjustments and settings. It's really kind of aimed at bass. I think most of the active DI stuff gets aimed at bass guitars.
I did some very limited reading on active versus passive DIs, and the prevailing guidance on that was for like really low, like it has a preamp basically, and it's for really low level inputs and stuff like that. So
sure, because it's going to be able to bring that up with very, very low noise, right?
Right. So okay, I have some time. That show's not till August, and I don't need it yet, so I'll do a little more research. But okay, cool, good to know.
I think that's a good one right there. Why keep looking? Why keep looking?
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I was like, I never priced out DI boxes, and I was like, well, here's a Behringer one for $20, and here's a Radial one for $100. And I think there is a threshold of you get what you pay for. So
it's the quality of the windings for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is it's a little bit like pickups. I think it's not quite it's not quite as easy to perceive, but it's the same kind of thing. Like it would sort of be like, well, I guess just saying pickups, it's not one pickup to another pickup, but it'd be like if you use the same magnets and the same type of pickup, but like one was wound really well and one was wound kind of crappy, something like that, or didn't have proper shielding, or who knows what. I don't know. I don't wind pickups. Fuck, who are you talking to?
Freg.
All right, frick. All right, next up.
Oh. Oh, frig. Oh, I know it. Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, another riff, but what is this from? This gives it away.
It? You got it? What is it?
It's the triple graph.
It is a triple graph. I wanted to let it play long enough that you'd catch on. Because that's a long demo. I jumped in the middle of it.
You cut off right before the greatest part of it.
I could play more of it.
Let her rip. Let's hear it.
All right, hold on. Let's try to start.
That was such a fun demo.
Somewhere near where I stopped it. Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's filthy.
All those octaves.
So good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a
fine.
super fun demo, and again, a showcase of friends, a Tone Control Hall of Fame, Copper Sound Pedals, and 37 Effects.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was so good. Anyway, okay.
Okay, so speaking of game changers, from Gamechanger Audio, the Bigsby pedal.
Yeah,
Derek,
man.
what the fuck is this?
It looks like they just took a Bigsby and slapped it onto a pedal case.
All right.
Huh?
Yeah, moving on. Let's do Pedal Genie.
Gamechanger Audio are the guys that did the plasma coil.
Right.
They did that crazy reverb pedal that had the springs and the optical stuff in them. So this is a pitch bendy pedal that is in partnership with Fender and Bigsby, because Fender owns Bigsby now, to put the Bigsby whammy bar vibrato business into a pedal with an actual Bigsby arm on the pedal itself that you're moving with your foot.
That's the actuator.
Yeah, and there's a spring and everything. It looks awesome. I think it's just got such a vibe. All their pedals, the stuff from Gamechanger has the look, right? It's got the stuff where you're like, what the fuck is that thing? And you want to know about it.
All right.
But you're going to ask somebody what that is.
Right.
So it's a Bigsby vibrato, pitch bendy pedal. It's got the Bigsby hardware on the top. It can do the subtle Bigsby thing, right?
It's a pitch bendy. What do you got to know?
So Bigsby's like the hardware itself on the guitar itself is kind of known for a really subtle motion. It's not dive bomby. It's not even equivalent to like Fender trems and so or vibratos. It's really chill, but they're great. They sound really cool. They're very natural sounding. So this can do that. But through DSP, which is handling all of this, of course, it can go to more extreme whammy settings. So like you can
look like it's DSP, does it?
It is. but
I mean, so like the whole vibe is so.
It's so analog.
It's extremely analog looking. It's all this heavy steel and stuff.
Yeah, because like look at this thing, right? What are you gonna like? Your guitar strings don't run through this; they're on your guitar, dummy.
You idiot.
You idiot. So. This it can do the heavy duty whammy bar or like whammy pedal type stuff like the Digitech whammy. But what's really rad about it is like the spring, right? The spring on it is not the pivot point. The pivot point is slightly behind that. So you can pitch down and up if you tip it above the axle there. So like you can.
Oh, so if you went to tow it. Yeah, you could actually, okay.
Yeah, so
or put your foot under it.
Right. Yeah. It almost looks like if you picture a guitar with a Bigsby on it and you were to put the Bigsby behind, right, near the back strap button, like out of the way of playing, that's kind of how the arm is configured
It's
on the pedal.
organized, right? When you swing it, like when you're going to put it in the case, you swing it away.
Yeah, exactly. So you can push on the arm with your foot to get down pitching stuff. And then Andrew in the chat, so the fulcrum point isn't the heel. So, right, it's not a volume pedal. It's not a wah pedal type design. The fulcrum is very much in the middle of this thing, or even honestly closer to the top. So you can. Is
it not inside the spring?
The fulcrum is that axle right there. That thing.
Okay, so is that what's reading, and then the spring is just holding it in place? I wondered if there was like a sensor measuring how far in or out a post was or something.
Oh, good question. I don't actually know where the sensor is or what's measuring it, but in the demo video on the site, they show the guy kind of leaning forward on it, and it's like it gets really filthy and awesome sounding. So what
the fulcrum, like that bar, obviously that's the point at which it's going to rock back and forth, but it could still be measuring anywhere, I guess, inside that thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's in charge of listening to the change for that, but it's cool, man, and it's just got like the look, you know. So it's got these three controls on the top that light up. The knobs are they look like a mouse scroll wheel.
Yeah,
you know, they're kind of out.
Yeah.
They're kind of out of the way. There's stuff. What it looks like it says depth.
There's an
blend.
easier to read shot.
Is there
somewhere? Well, because they describe it, I think.
Oh
shoot. So I got rate. The first one was rate. Let's try to find this other shot. Damn.
Depth and blend.
Yeah. A blend in the middle.
It looks like there's some secondary functions
So you see a button right here in the. Can you see my mouse? Yeah. This button right here. So that's orange. So that must activate the second functions.
Yeah. So this is not available yet. So you can pre-orders are going to be coming soon.
The middle one is tone control.
Hey.
I can't read the other one.
I can't either. It's a little too out of focus. But go to the site, watch the video, because it's awesome. The type of music they play at first is like very classic guitars with Bigsbys on them type of music, you know?
Okay.
Stuff that really, really shows off that traditional Bigsby feel. And then they just like flip the channel switch on the amp and go to town. And it's awesome. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. So it's not up for pre-order yet, but it will be soon. I think like if you get on their newsletter, you can have early access to that before it's really public.
Okay.
And delivery time is currently 5 to 8 weeks. So they're making them now and getting them out the door. So if this sounds like a thing you're into, hurry up and figure out how to buy one.
Yeah.
It's the Bigsby pedal. They just call it the Bigsby pedal. It's cool.
Sweet.
I love what they're doing. They're doing. Between the plasma thing and that reverb, I know this.
This is hardware.
Hardware manipulating software. So
Sure.
Yeah. Very good.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what then. It's time for us to catch up with what's been going on with the Genie. So buckle up.
Pedal Genie is like the Netflix of guitar pedals. Rent any pedal you want for as long as you want for one low monthly price. Shipping is included and there are no late fees or time limits. With over 1,500 pedals to try from nearly 100 different manufacturers, Pedal Genie definitely has the gear you want to try. Subscriptions start with Flex at just $19.95 a month. Try out one pedal at a time for as long as you want. Send it back when you're ready for the next one. For only $39.95 a month, the standard subscription includes shipping, so you could have a different pedal every few days. If one isn't enough for you, Pedal Genie Pro gets you 3 pedals at a time for only $64.95 a month. Shipping included. There's a subscription for everyone, and best of all, your first month is free. If you find the pedal of your dreams, the one you just have to keep, Pedal Genie will offer you a buyout option. Prices vary with the length of your membership and the type of pedal, but you'll definitely get an awesome price for the pedal in your hand. So head to pedalgenie.com to fill up your wish list with pedals, and they'll send out your first pedal ASAP. Pedal Genie, all your pedal wishes granted.
Perfect.
Outstanding.
So we're recording on Wednesday. Like, let's mention this. We're recording a day early because I'm going to be out of town. So the chat is thin tonight. Let's be honest. Andrew's here, which we don't usually get, so that's great. And he did participate in the butts, which I love. But
Did I
there's
do
some
the thing right? He says.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby. You know.
So the thing is, like, there's kind of a threshold on the number of butt gifs that Discord can hold. So like, you search butts. When you search butts, you get a lot of the same stuff you always get,
right?
You know, and it's,
so
it's tough to
say
scroll
butt,
through.
And then just so I switched to the trackpad at that point, and I just flick the thing, and just it's like roulette. Show me where I'm gonna land.
Yeah, you got to search a bunch of other stuff too, like booty, buns, ass. Like there's a million different
this guy's
options.
A pro.
Yeah, I'm a pro butt giffer. Anyway, yes, great job, everybody. Thanks, Pedal Genie. You guys are cool. So you want to talk about pedals?
Yeah. So you've been sitting on one for a whole long time.
Month. Yeah.
Like such longness.
I've been sitting on this Randy's Revenge ring modulator from Fairfield Circuitry for a while. And here's the thing. I raced up here to start this podcast and didn't set up my rig to play it here on the show. So I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. It's just... all of that time when we were troubleshooting the thing, I was like, we're about to get started. I shouldn't go get it. I shouldn't go like plug everything in. So I don't have it this week. But what I can do is like, and I'm going to be out of town this week for a wedding. So I don't have time to make a demo before this episode goes live. So like I'm leaving tomorrow morning and this goes live on Monday.
Have you played it?
I played it for not the last episode, but the one before that. The last one you were on before you took a break.
Yeah.
That was the most I've played it. Was that one little clip of like, here's the pedal I have, everybody, and it made some weird buzzy noises, and that's what I got.
Wow,
So
that was eons ago.
It was. I have not done a ton with this pedal. I feel really bad about that, but it's just sort of how the calendar has fallen for me lately. And so here's the thing, like, I love the style and the vibe of Fairfield Circuitry stuff. Ring modulators, though, are such a weird kind of effect. And I want to look into what it is they're doing, because this is doing something far more effective than my DoD gonculator.
Oh, really? So you can make music out of
this one. The Fairfield one, can sound good. It can do some really interesting stuff that is sort of akin to tremolo. It can sort of do, it can go so fast. Sorry, this one. It can go so fast that it turns into a ring modulator. Right, it's creating, and then you can tune that thing. Whereas the DoD FX13 gonculator from 1996 or whatever this thing is, this has a ring to it that is in the key of B flat, and that's just the ring it has. And I don't know if that's true for all of them or this one that I have. So
it also has a weird whine in the background from the power being dirty.
which is that ring. It's the key of B flat, or at least I think it was B flat.
Yeah.
Right. So the whine from the power is maybe coincidentally the same key as the ring.
I wonder if there's like a carrier frequency in there that's kind of causing everything to oscillate in that zone. Yeah.
So this Fairfield one has a ton of controls, including the big one in the middle is frequency, and then volume, mix, and low pass filter. And then there's some mini toggles that change some other parameters. There's a high low, and it says SO and
square sign.
Square sign, SQ, that's what it is, yeah. And there's like a CV control in and out. It's very functional. Like, there's a lot of stuff on this to make some cool sounds. What those sounds are...
With the frequency control, like, you'd be able to tune it to a song, though. Because, I mean, that's the main failing with other ring mods that I've seen is, like, you better get with the pedal, because the pedal's not going to get with you.
Right. The thing about the gonculator is it's a ring mod and a distortion pedal in one, and you can blend the two. So like that's when it gets really thrashy and like it's designed to sound disgusting, right? That's the thing about ring mods is they sound really tinny and kind of clashy and weird. But this Fairfield one has taken account for that, basically. Like, you can tune it more or less to what you want to do, and you can slow it down so much that it does some really cool stuttery things. So anyway, this is all to say I don't have a ton of experience with it, and I don't have time to do a demo for this episode, but I will try to do one soon. and maybe we'll get it in a future episode or something like that.
Right.
So, Fairfield Circuitry appears to be a Canadian company because all their prices are in Canadian dollars. This is 389 Canadian, which is like a lot. And it's approximately 310 US. Still a lot. And ring mods are not one of the pillars of guitar effects, I think is safe to say. So, Fairfield Circuitry is a cool company, and their pedals are kind of bespoke. They've got a great look, the stamped case and all that stuff, and I get a real homemade vibe from this. However, unless you love ring mods, that is prohibitively expensive, I think. I wouldn't go out
It's a luxury.
It's a luxury, right? Yeah. This costs more than this vintage DoD gonculator is going for currently. So, what's that mean? What's that about?
What are you trying? Well, but obviously it's a much better pedal.
It's a way better pedal. Yes, of course. The gonculator, so I have that here with me, and I'm talking about that because I've had this pedal for, almost.
I've known you.
Yeah, so 16 years, and give or take, I've had this, I think.
Yeah.
So, it sounds bad. I'll be honest with you, it just doesn't sound good. But it's it is.
I mean,
but people
it's a
know
bad
that
pedal, but
I don't think it's a bad pedal, but it sounds bad. It puts the T in subtle, you know what I mean? So it's people love the gonculator because of the album Science by Incubus. So this pedal is all over that record. And it sounds like that clashy thing from the song Glass, and it's cool. But I have it here because I did want to, when I do have the whole setup with the guitar track and all that, I do want to plug it in quickly and demonstrate a different ring mod because I don't often have a weird type of pedal to demo one that I also have in the house. So anyway, we'll do that another time.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to switch over to, hold on, I'm on the wrong screen here. This MFR.
Holy shit.
This is what I got, kids. And I just opened this. This has been sitting here for a solid month.
Wow.
I don't know.
This thing looks like the inside of a Soviet era.
I'm not sure what the right move is here. Honestly, here's the thing. This is a compressor. It is a dual compressor. It is either it's either multi-band or stacked. Okay, so I can explain more about that. I'm starting to I didn't actually get my guitar off the wall. Actually, bass might be a better thing to demo this with. But I'm wondering maybe I'll talk about this a little bit. I have not plugged it in, but I can tell you what it's supposed to do. The thing is I'm sure it does what it's supposed to do. I really don't feel like this is the kind of pedal that
well, here's the thing.
When I've tried to demo compressors in the past, it's what am I showing you? I'm showing you nothing. This is something that you, frankly, as a guitarist, you have to feel.
Yes.
And I use all the time in mixing. I feel like this pedal is really better for bass, more for bass than guitar, because I can't think of when I would need to use this kind of compression with either this amount of compression that would be achievable with a system like this, or or just the amount of compression would just be crazy to be using on a guitar. But for bass, so it's a multi-band compressor. So if we look here, we can see. Look at that! I can zoom right in. Okay, so threshold and ratio. How much should I talk about compression? Should we just start at the beginning with compression a little bit? Let's do a quick.
Let's do a little bit because I'm routinely confused by compression.
Okay. So what compression is doing is you are when the sound goes over a certain level, that's called the threshold. That level gets reduced.
Mm-hmm. Down to the threshold, right?
By the ratio. Gets reduced by the ratio. So it still goes above the threshold unless your ratio is infinite, right? So if your ratio is 2 to 1, then if your threshold is -10, if your signal goes to -12, the signal that comes out of the compressor is -11. Or sorry, I shouldn't be saying minus. If I got it backwards. If your threshold's -10 and your signal goes to -8, then actually 9 is what's going to come out of the compressor. So because it's 2 to 1, every 2 dBs above the threshold you go, only 1 dB comes out of the compressor.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm with you.
So that is basically what a compressor is doing. So at the end of the day, you are squishing down your loud parts, and then you need to raise the whole thing back up in order to get an overall level boost. Or really, like I like to do, is really I want to keep it in the middle. I want the level boost to sort of match how much I'm reducing, and then all I'm doing is reducing the width of those dynamics. Okay. So, so what we typically have is your threshold setting. So this is where the compressor is going to start to kick in, and then we have the ratio. That is by how much it's going to be reduced. So you see this pedal, we can go 1 to 1, which means it's going to do no compression whatsoever, or infinite to 1. So this is a brick wall limiter. Nothing will ever get louder than the threshold. Okay. And then we have gain for makeup. Okay. And you could even reduce it. We've got some other controls in here which are a little fancier. So knee. And we've got H and S for hard and soft. So this is sort of, if you can imagine on a graph what's happening when it hits that threshold and sort of starts to level off, the knee actually causes a curve to happen there. So you'll actually get a little bit of compression starting to happen before the threshold, and it won't really get to full compression until a little bit after the threshold.
So that probably helps it feel a little bit more natural. A little bit less like effecty.
Less
right?
so you can hear it. It's usually like there's a little bit of, it has some give to it. Sounds kind of more natural. Typically older compressor circuits had a softer knee for the most part. And then we've got timing, fast or slow. So that's this other switch down there, FS. Because there's also this quality of how quickly a compressor is going to kick in and how quickly it's going to let go. The timings on a compressor sometimes you'll see in milliseconds, and those milliseconds are actually the time that it's going to take the compressor to get to 2/3 of its total effectiveness. So it gets really complicated, but you don't really have to think about it that much unless you're really trying to get into the weeds.
That's what I've seen labeled as attack and release, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And so if my attack time is 100 milliseconds, it actually is, it's going to take 100 milliseconds for my compressor to achieve about 2/3 of its total effectiveness. And then on release, if it's also 100 milliseconds, after I go below threshold again, it's going to take that 100 milliseconds to get to 2/3 of fully released.
Okay.
I don't know why it's like that, but it must have something to do with the way the circuits get built in actual analog circuitry, because this is where this was created. Wow. And obviously nowadays you could have instant timings in digital. But this is just sort of the system we use. Okay, but there's more going on here because we've actually got 2 compressors in this pedal. Let's skip the things in the middle. So we have another side that's exactly the same thing. Okay, another threshold ratio, and then we've got meters at the top, so you can measure your signal and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so crossover and mix. So the 2 knobs in the middle are, I can zoom out so we can see the whole pedal. So those 2 knobs in the middle, crossover and mix. So the crossover is going to choose the frequency where one side of the compressor stops paying attention and the other one's going to take over. So this is like band pass. So this is the same thing that's going on in speakers that have multiple kinds of speakers in them, like a horn versus the rest of the speakers. There's a crossover. A subwoofer is going to have a crossover. It's basically just filtering out everything else. And in this case, we're filtering so that everything below the crossover point goes to one side of the compressor and the other side. So you can compress your lows different from your highs. This is a great function for bass. I use this all the time. I would probably set this crossover fairly low, maybe 100 or 80, like really low on this particular knob. Because I want the lows of my bass to be always there. So I'd be like strongly compressing those and maybe leaving everything else much more alone. That's how I like to do bass a lot of the time, so that my bass always feels thunderous, even if they're playing higher on the neck. That helps to kind of reinforce that. So then I haven't read anything about this pedal. I'm really just looking at the face of it because these are all like words that I know.
Yeah. Okay.
So here we have in the middle this little tiny switch sidechain filter, N and LD. We're gonna have to look up what that is, folks.
Goodness gracious.
Good. Okay, so the sidechain filter. What a sidechain filter does? Oh, I see. It's a three-way. N, L, and D. Huh. Okay. What a sidechain filter does is it changes what's in the detector circuit of a compressor. So if you think about it, there are two pathways in any compressor. There's the one that the signal is actually flowing through that you hear, and then there's a split comes off of that, and that gets detected. And that's how the compressor knows when something goes over the threshold or not. So you can apply a filter to that detector circuit so that it's only listening to maybe nothing below 100 hertz. So it's only going to get triggered by higher frequencies than that. Or maybe we'd flip it the other way around. So I wonder if NLD, oh man, I really want to know what that is. Compeak 101. Holy crap. Look at all the different things, and these are all going to explain. So this it's a VCA compressor. That means voltage controlled amplifier. Don't worry about that. Threshold range, sidechain filter. Okay, so normal sidechain filter roll-off curve. So it's actually listening more. They're all listening more strongly to the high frequencies, but it's pretty linear after that. Put it on low, and it filters off some lows, and then deep filters off more. Interesting. So these are filtering lows, and it's sort of like how.
Oh my god, the manual is insane. What is that thing called? The
pedal,
no. Sorry, that control.
Oh, the sidechain filter.
No, the three-way one that you're trying to learn the name of.
That's the sidechain filter. Yeah.
Oh.
So what the three-way does is in normal mode, it hears things mostly normal. Low filtering would be, you see that with this red line, it's reducing some of the lows that it's listening to. And with deep, it's reducing even more of the lows that it's listening to. That's another way to make a compressor less audible, because typically the low frequencies are going to be really powerful. So if your compressor isn't responding to the low thumps in your guitar so much, then, or your whatever instrument you're playing into it, then it'll have this sort of smooth volume leveling effect. Especially acoustic guitars. When I've used those with compressors, a lot of times, if that compressor is hearing the lows too much, you'll hear this like pumping kind of sound in the compressor because it's triggering too much from the big lows that can be in an acoustic guitar.
This is crazy pants.
This is crazy pants. So I also
this seems
saw
like
somewhere,
incredibly powerful compressor pedal.
It does, and then so then let's go back up because it doesn't stop there. We've got a mix between wet and dry, also a very handy thing to have. Trim control, -9 to +6 dB over the whole signal. And then we've got these things. We've got low saturation, low cut, and low level. And then high saturation, high cut, high level on the other side. So you can make general EQ adjustments, including filters and what looks like shelves. I should go find these.
Holy shit.
XEQ.
So that whatever that's pictured as is a smaller version.
That's a different version, isn't it?
Yeah. Huh. Now I'm reading on the site here of kind of an interesting detail. You can order this product in the USA because this is listed in euros. Yeah. You can order this product in the USA from Gear Hero HQ, which is the parent company. That's probably not correct, but it's the guitar shop that Pedal Genie operates out of.
Oh,
I'm fairly sure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
so
it is.
They're the dealer in the U.S. for Bicos or
So
nice.
Yeah, so there's a partnership here with the folks that also run Pedal Genie.
No wonder I have this.
No wonder, right? Yeah, I mean this is crazy that like we don't talk about compressor pedals very much because, like you said, they're notoriously hard to demo. Yeah, and however, this is insane.
The amount that guitarists use them is not commensurate with how difficult they are to understand and demo and explain. You know, they're just not a thing that we need all that much, most of us.
In Helix, I have a compressor on the output of my signal. Like at the very end, the last possible block before anything goes out of the thing is a compressor. And it's just just evening out a
that's
little bit.
an okay place to put it, but that's after the amp and everything, right?
It's after everything. Yeah, it's just a little bit of smoothing out. And I like it. It just sort of gives it a little bit of lift. It gives it a little bit of something.
Yeah.
So this is crazy though. Like this is...
Okay, so here's what's going on. So this is the Twain edition of this pedal. Apparently there's also a Stella edition, and there's also something that isn't either of those. So the tape saturation and low and high cut filters are available on the Stella and Twain compressors.
Okay.
So it's designed to act only on the dry signal. That's the tape saturation.
Wow.
And then it can be mixed with the wet compressed signal. So harmonic distortions happen to the dry, and then you mix that back with your compression.
This is one of those
then
things
there's a
that
bunch of
feels
charts like with no filters. Here it is with some filter, and so on and so forth.
Wow. This
Low
feels
and high
kind of like
filter should be
theoretical.
used when tape saturation is used. If I click on these, I see. These are bigger. It's only showing me a little bit of the.
Oh, okay.
So he's using. Oh wow. Okay.
This feels like it's kind of theoretical, right? Like I know it's true. Like this is what happens in this box, but it's crazy to think about, like how much is in this thing. So I'm looking here.
Supposedly you can make these stacked as well instead of a crossover. So you can make one compressor flow into the other compressor. So the output of one would feed the input of the next, which is like that. That's you can do that where like one compressor
there's a
could
switch
be,
on the side. Is that what that is?
Oh yeah. Look, DB and stack. But it's a little push button.
Cool.
STK. Dual band or stacked. Okay. So then dual band, I explained like I'm compressing my lows, but I'm not compressing my highs, or at least I'm doing it differently. With stacked, that one flows into the other. So then one compressor could be just grabbing peaks, like really loud peaks, and perhaps cutting them off completely. And then the other one could be a much more subtle thing.
Cool.
That's a common thing that I do sometimes.
$359. Yeah, $359 from GearHero.com. It's exclusive to Gear Hero and our folks at Pedal Genie.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a hell of a thing.
I should change that in our notes because I wrote a different price down.
You probably wrote down the euro price, which is $289.
No, I wrote down the conversion from the euro price, but they probably have some shipping and stuff involved, and so I'm not gonna quote what I decided the pedal should cost because I'm not ordering it while being in Europe and paying for it with euros. So
it's a wild piece of gear, man.
Oh my God. I feel anyway, I hope nobody's too disappointed that they're not getting pedal demos today, but like, do you want me to plug this in? Like, what do you think is going to happen if I do that?
No, I think we can move on.
Because that's the thing. This would be awesome if I could put it after my Helix. You know what I mean? And and then feed you guys that and be like, oh, look what happens when I XYZ. But that's not the way my setup's configured right now. I would have to switch a bunch of stuff around.
No. No, you're good.
Even then, I'd be like, now here's what you should be listening for. It's really subtle. Like,
right, which we're not going to hear in Discord tonight. And like,
make sure your YouTube is on high quality. You know, like,
this sounds. I can really hear the compression great on my iPhone. Like,
I know, no shit,
dude. Okay, my whole thing these days is like reading the comments section for people that complain about tone on Instagram. It sounds awesome. But this pickup demo sounds great on your iPhone with nothing plugged into it. Jesus.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, here we'll say thanks again to Pedal Genie. Sign up, and you can even buy this pedal from them, and it's great.
Yeah, you can.
Pedal Genie going for as little as $20 a month these days.
Not too shabby.
That's the Flex where you $16 round trip for each shipment. So basically, you keep the pedal as long as you. I see how that works. You keep the pedal as long as you want, and
when you're ready to send it back, you got to pay for shipping. Which still so you're looking at almost $40 at that rate per pedal. That's still a hell of a lot cheaper than any than any of these pedals we talked about
today. If you're doing one pedal a month, though. That's the thing. That's the thing. Like it really, like if you just get and you can talk to them, like if they don't have the exact pedal you want to try, like if that's a great pedal rental actually.
Oh yeah.
That's a great pedal rental rate. Now that I think about it, the Flex, I need a certain pedal and I need it for 3 months. I'm going to get a Flex subscription. I'm going to pay
$8 to send it to you, $8 to send it back, and then $20 a month to rent it. Yeah.
So like 16 plus 20 for each month that I have it. That's a great deal.
That's a great deal. Yeah.
And they could definitely make sure they have the thing you actually want before you before you start that. Anyway.
Love it.
It's a totally different thing that I'd never even thought of before. So yeah.
Cool.
All right. I think we got one more news item.
Yeah, we do.
Don't we? All right. Try this out for size.
It's some trim.
Has to be one of yours.
I think so too. It's some trim with a variable rate on something.
Yeah, so it must be something was expressed, right?
Yeah. And it sounded like a sawtooth wave also.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It wasn't the Loma Prieta, was it?
It wasn't. So
Because I don't have an
Caroline
expression pedal.
Parabola.
Oh, yeah, Caroline. Oh, man, they make great stuff.
Did that have an expression built into it?
It's got a havoc switch, and like all their pedals have what's called a havoc switch, and it's like a momentary thing that does something specific to that pedal.
I wonder if that's what you're using then.
Must have been. So like on a delay, for example, it would self-oscillate if you push and hold that, or other things that can do other stuff. So yeah, cool.
Okay, so here's what's going on now from Suhr. Why'd I put an SH in it? Suhr.
I don't know.
Discovery analog delay from Suhr.
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 I like the look. It's got a cool vibe.
Yeah, it's like a mix of. Well, the vibe looks very well for analog delays because it's making me think about like echo, like what's that fucking thing?
Like a space echo or something like that?
Space echo, exactly.
Yeah.
The way those knobs are and stuff.
Yes, the big knob.
Yeah.
So it's an analog delay. Suhr has made pedals in the past. They make distortion pedals and stuff like that, and they're very good. This is their first venture into something like this. I mean, holy smokes, look at this thing.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
Oh,
so
look at that price tag.
Right, we're going to talk about that. So this is built with 4 reissue MN3005 Bucket Brigade chips, which means you have loads of customization. 127 preset banks is one of those things. Like, so you can, this is that thing that we like where it's the digital control of analog stuff, right? So you can restore all these presets and stuff. It's got tap tempo, which this is the best thing, and I wish all manufacturers would follow this, averages your last 4 taps.
Oh. Okay, I had a negative reaction to that when you first said it, but I'm coming around in the following seconds.
So here's the thing, right? I mistook a tempo off of our Delaney song roster when loading in my Helix the other day.
Yeah.
And my tempo was incorrect, so I'm tapping it in.
So you had to tap it in like some idiot?
I had to tap it in like an idiot, and I resulted in like 3 BPM off. And I checked it after the song and stuff, but I'm wondering now if the machine had averaged that for me, would I have been closer?
What was the tempo?
I needed like 133 and I hit 130.
Oh,
so something like that.
3 when you're already over 130.
Yeah,
so it was a small change.
Yeah, and with a delay repeat, that's like 2 repeats. It didn't matter, but
yeah,
I still love that idea.
Okay, right, because without that, it's really only taking the distance between your last 2.
And I would tap multiple times to get myself in that rhythm and make sure that I myself am as accurate as possible.
Once you're hitting it good, yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea though, averaging the last 4.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was because
you can
wrong to have a negative reaction.
You can still do the thing where you hit it more than 4 times to get in the zone of being accurate, and then it's
doing the same thing too. It's getting in your zone while you're getting in the song zone.
Love it. So it's got subdivisions for all the good ones: quarter note, eighth note, dotted eighth. There's also a thing that says
And
third.
none of the
It's
garbage.
got a 16th note subdivision. There's one that says a third too, which is very interesting to me. I'm
Is that
curious.
triplets?
Must be.
Isn't it?
Quarter note triplet, maybe. I would also love to see dotted quarter on this thing because dotted quarter is killer. Dotted quarter needs to be all over the place.
1/3. Would that be?
Is that dotted quarter
that's not
essentially?
3/1. Dotted quarter.
We've got dotted quarter.
The trouble is that dotted quarter doesn't loop over the same way. I would think that was triplet, 3 in the space of 1.
Maybe it is. Maybe. Well, no, because in Helix I can set dotted quarter or quarter note triplet. So they're technically different. I wish I had my shit plugged in.
I know that those are different. I'm just saying, like the way that they've shown. Hold on,
but they've shown it as 1/3.
Yeah.
So they've got.
Why does 1/8 have a D next to it?
That's for dotted eighth. A dotted eighth note repeat versus
then
a regular.
I guess we know that 1/3 isn't a dotted quarter because otherwise it would say D quarter. So I think that's triplet. Or is it going to do a division as though you're playing in 3 instead of 4?
Like a polyrhythm?
Right. So it would infer your tempo, but divide that into a third from whatever you feed it. Oh man, I think we got to hear this to know.
Yeah. Okay. It's got the screen on it.
You can still feed it a proper BPM as well.
Yeah, right. So it's got the screen on it, which you can set to display the preset bank, BPM, or milliseconds in delay time. And that can go from 40 to 1100 milliseconds, which is a nice, huge range for an analog delay. Yeah. It can go really quite long, which is great. So I love seeing that. High and low cut controls, as well as modulation with 3 wave types to choose from. There's a regen control, switchable true or buffered bypass, 18-volt power supply included. So there's like a bunch of stuff happening here. Yeah, like they're really pulling out the stops.
This runs up to 18 volts too. I didn't mention that.
Oh, the compressor.
Which matters for a compressor.
Cool.
Doing dynamics. Okay, so back to the thing.
Yeah, back to the Suhr Discovery. 18-volt power supply included. And like, it's just, it's an elegant design. I like it. It's kind of retro, but it seems easy to understand. And it's designed with modern, pedal stuff in mind.
I'm immediately not confused by this in the way that I'm confused by
Trace Bliss.
Well, I was thinking of Strymon too. Even Strymon, like I kind of look at things and go, okay, like I know I have to hold some things and get into the blah blah blah, but it's not this. Like this feels more surfaced to me, and it's because they're willing to write all over their case.
Well, Strymon sort of does this too, but it's the intimidation of that third switch and stuff like that. So I think, and the Strymon stuff also has multiple delay types, and this is just an analog delay. So this thing is like you don't need the presets, right? It can do all of its crazy sounds without the presets, and then if you want to get into that, those menus are there. You can do all of that. The Strymon thing is more intended to thrive with presets. So maybe that's the difference.
Sure. It's that rotary encoder and stuff. When I went to try to program them and not having my head into it, I've only like used a Strymon for like 30 minutes twice. And it was like I needed to get something done with it in those 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's a bad situation.
So I have the timeline, and when I got it, it was like, first thing I got to do is open the manual, and I need to read about this pedal and how it works before I even plug that sucker in. And I'm glad I did, because now I know it and it feels very comfortable, but I know what you mean. Like this is a surface level. You see it and understand it as a guitarist lizard brain person. You get it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's $550.
Okay.
That's a shitload of money. Like that is a very expensive pedal. I've got some comparisons here, okay?
Yep.
It's $100 more than the Strymon Timeline. It's $150 more than the Bondi Art Van delay. It's $250 more than the Source Audio Nemesis delay. There's tons of great delays out there. You know, true analog or digital or whatever, or, you know, just this is a lot of money. $550 for a pedal, for a delay.
That is for sure.
And a lot of people look at stuff
it?
like, God damn it, Justin. A lot of people look at stuff like the Strymon, whether it's the El Cap or the Timeline, or stuff from Bondi, the Art Van, and things like Source Audio as like top shelf, right? That is kind of the end of delays as a category. So these kinds of brands.
When you're beating them on their price.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Like for Suhr to come in, a guitar company, not a pedal company. They do make pedals, but I primarily know Suhr as a guitar company, and to be charging almost $600 for an analog delay, right?
Okay, so is that why? Is it because Strymon isn't a true analog delay?
Well, Bondi is, and it's $150 more than that.
What's the feature comparison like though? Are they in the same ballpark?
It's got tap tempo, it's got subdivisions, the Art Van. It's got some modulation. It doesn't have. No, it does have presets. I don't actually own one, but it's people in the chat who are not here tonight because it's Wednesday. There's a few people in the Discord that own an Art Van, and I'm sure can speak up to this when the episode comes out. I don't know if it's got 127 presets, but like it's a USB enabled pedal. It's got some stuff about it that you can go in and customize. So I don't know. Is it going after that kind of market? Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. The modulation section is different. I guess like the Art Van doesn't have the high and low pass, I think. It's got the speed and depth or whatever other modulation controls, but the high cut and the low cut. Maybe, I don't know. But like the Strymon stuff has all that. It's not true analog, so to speak, but Strymon's also like a real player in this space. So I don't think that really matters if it's not true analog.
Well, it would, I mean, for somebody, it probably matters.
Sure.
For somebody. I don't know if that's justified, but for somebody. But yeah, that's a lot.
It's also got MIDI in
nice,
and out.
But it would be really tough for me for this kind of effect. Like for me, like I agree with you. Like the something like a Strymon or like the Eventide thing. Yeah. You know, for things like modulations, delays, time base, like I want a box that's gonna like do that for me. And I would want it to be digital because they can sound analog enough for me, I'm certain, and be able to have all this other stuff. You know, trying to make something that is actually analog but also has that other stuff is somewhere in the range of between impossible and expensive. So I don't know.
Right.
That doesn't matter to me personally.
And if I'm in the order of spending hundreds of dollars for a delay pedal, like I like a lot of delay sounds. I like the variability of delays and stuff like Timeline or even the Line 6 DL4 or the TC Flashback X4, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's got all these other types of delay built in, whether it's digital with mod, swells, that kind of stuff. That's all fun to have, and I enjoy having that. And it's cheaper, you know. It's so I don't know. I bet the Discovery sounds incredible. I have no doubt that it sounds fucking great.
But $100 better than Strymon?
And I use these features that Strymon has that this pedal does not have a lot.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, that's it right there.
So for me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Still would probably have a load of fun with the Suhr pedals. You know. Yeah, man.
Truth. Okay.
$550. Wow. Okay.
$550. All right. So where does that leave us?
Leaves us with some suggestions of the week.
All right. So I have not been on a show since you started your glorious new segment, Suggestions of the Week. Now, give me the ground rules. Bring me up to speed.
Just like something you're into that you want to share, right? Something that
it has to be actually good, or can we just fuck with people?
I mean,
okay, never mind. That was
I'm saying it doesn't, but the ground rules are that it can be guitar related, but it certainly doesn't have to be. Mine is not. So
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. All right. What do you got here?
I'll do mine. So
This is a link.
yeah. So a little while ago, I got this. Hang on. I got this footrest for under my desk. It's kind of covered in some dog hair. People in the chat can see. This is like just a foam thing wrapped in like almost like a velour, kind of like a plushy kind of fabric, and it's got a grippy bottom, and it just chills on my floor. And it's a footrest. It's a little like not an ottoman, but it's just a little thing.
It's a it's a fottoman.
That you heard it here first, everybody. But it's just a little footrest for. I work from home now, so I don't wear shoes ever. My shoes think I died, and it really helps with things like my posture and my general comfort throughout the work day. So if you sit at a desk a lot, I would encourage some kind of it's this half moon shape. And then what's cool is you can flip it over too, and then like you have a flat surface to pitch on, and
it like rocks.
Yeah. And then it's like two segments you can kind of see that are just attached by Velcro, so you can lower it if you want.
Oh, okay, that's an extra chunk. I get you.
Yep. And
that's good.
I sit with my feet on this for. Geez, I've been in this room a lot today. I sit with my feet on this for 12 hours a day, and it's great. I move it around. It's lightweight because sometimes I'm leaning back in my chair, sometimes I'm sitting very upright, and I can just like kick it around under my desk very comfortably. Yeah. And it's just gets my feet off the ground and alters my posture.
Changing positions, keeping your posture good. Yeah, like you want to have basically like your legs level. You're not getting that pinch on the bottom of your legs and stuff like this. I mean, we assume, if you're going to be spending all day in your chair, having a good chair.
Yeah, and I have a nice chair, and I like that a lot. However, just a little something to like, just get your feet up. So they make hammocks, like a little under desk hammock, similar kind of thing. I like this because it's a little more movable, and it's not just stuck to one position. So this is all to say, if you work at a desk all day, consider something for your feet. It's kind of Andrew's got one here in the chat. He says it pivots. Yeah. It's hard plastic, but that like if you're working in an office and you got shoes on, same kind of deal. Mine is cushy and soft because I wear socks all day. But it's a nice thing. I'm using it right now. I'm doing it right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my suggestion.
And I mean that goes for not just like desks and stuff too. Like people have standing desks and stuff now, or the switchables. And if you're not like having like a treadmill desk, then you want to be able to like put one foot up on something.
Yeah, like a bar.
To change that back and forth. Yeah. And when I was doing work that had to be like over a table and stuff like that, for one thing, just having the table high enough so you're not bending too far at the waist, but also just being able to put a foot up on things some of the time does wonders for the hell that kind of thing can be on your back. And so this is like the seated version of that, right? It's
Yeah, it's nice. I enjoy it a lot. I've used it every day since I've gotten it. So yeah, just these little things. A lot of us work from home now, so and I'm working from home now permanently. So this is an affordable but kind of luxurious upgrade to the home office, makes it far more comfortable to chill out in here. So yeah, that's my suggestion of the week.
Right on. I should probably have thought of one.
That's okay. I meant to mention it to you sooner. And if you don't have one, that's fine. You've had a little bit of a hectic time.
How about livers? Keep them. They do good stuff. No, actually.
Shout out to livers, everybody.
Let's hear it for livers. They do a lot. Those suckers, oh man. I don't know. Keep your body strong, because when you're 69, you might have to go through a thing. And if you've kept your body, move your body, take care of it a bit. And it can save you later on.
That's a pro tip.
When part of your body tries to kill you, you can make it through that.
Yeah.
It's
a serious but very good point.
It is, and it's gonna keep going. That's never gonna leave you. It's never gonna leave you that you need to. You'll feel better if you move your body. I mean, I know, like I do. I work from home obviously too, and most days I don't have anyone here and I'm working on things remotely, and I take breaks and exercise around here. If, dog walks and taking them for runs and stuff like that sometimes when that fits in. But I have like free weights. They're right there. I don't move them unless somebody comes over, and I don't want to look like that guy, but like I have them laying around here because I just like spin around and do that for a few minutes, several times throughout the day. And if I get busy and like I just like my head's down and I have one of those days where I end bleary-eyed because I haven't looked up the whole time, I will feel more tired the next day, even though I wasn't doing as much, right? And then if I don't do that, if something goes on and I don't do it for a week, that's when I start like waking up with a backache. So it's like, it's I think there are people out there who think about it the opposite way. It's like, oh man, I'm going to stress myself and then my body's going to ache. And it's like, well, not so much. Really, not if you're actually like continuous about it. So
I'm trying to be better about that. It's hard for me. I'm very busy at work, so it's hard for me to like. I'm just always in like I'll just do one more thing. I'll just kind of get through this next thing, and then I'd end up not breaking as I should, and trying to be better about that. Starting next week when I come back from this little vacation, I'm hoping to kind of like use it as a little reset. So we'll see.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I'm glad to be back on a podcast, and I was just gonna go look for our shout outs. It's fine because I can just scroll down to a few episodes ago and find it. And then watch Derek.
Otherwise, I'm gonna forget to put them in the published episode, which I don't want to do. So,
all right, everybody, thanks for watching and listening. Glad this basically worked. And come join us in Discord. Discord.io/tone control will bring you directly to us, a free invitation to a free Discord server where you can chill and hang out and talk to us and talk to everybody else that's there. And if you want to be a supporter of the show, go to patreon.com/tone control. The Tone Control. That's what I said. Get it right. And become a patron for as little as $1 a month. And we'll shout out your name on the show. And thank you graciously. And if you want to donate more than $1 a month, for as little as $2 a month, you will be a supporter plus, and you get to hang out in the special secret areas of Discord, which includes where we record this show and listen live and
the
stuff like that.
Inky shadows of Discord. The seedy back channels. Yeah. So thanks to our patrons, Matthew Fenslaw, Reisenwolf, Jamie Evans, Jeffrey Wright, Doug King, Doug Gann, Righteous Ryan Johnson, Steve Huffman, Jonas Sabatini, Enrico Girabilbo, Andrew Walsh from Andrew's Alcove, OG friend of the show, Brian Rizzi, Doug Christ of 37FX, Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects, and Brian Gower and Kyle McIntyre of the Tone Jerks podcast. Heart to all of you? I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks.
Emoji with heart eyes.
Yeah. Way to go. Thanks very much. Yeah. That's it. So.
What a night.
What a night. Exactly. Kind of forget how I usually
we
end
say
this
like
thing.
Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Like
smash the bill. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what we do. Yeah. How's YouTube going, by the way?
I've not done a live stream in a while just because I've had this pedal for a month and I just haven't had a chance to do it.
Is anyone subscribing and stuff?
Oh, yeah. We got a slow drip of subscribers coming in, and that's a lot of fun. Episodes moving forward are going to be featured on YouTube, and you can watch our stupid faces and look at the pedals we're talking about and stuff like that. So hit us up there. There's actually some other pedal demo videos coming. I'm thinking I'm going to commit to it here on the podcast. I'm going to do a 1981 DRV unboxing video.
Ooh, I love it.
So,
all right. We'll look forward to that then. All right. See you next time.
See ya.
Nerds.